When the empath turns cold, how narcissists react. You've probably spent months, maybe even years, being their everything. Your empathy was their fuel, and your forgiveness was their safety net. You absorbed their chaos, truly believing your love could heal them. But all it did was leave you empty, like a ghost in your own life. You gave and you gave, pouring all your emotional energy into a bottomless pit, just hoping that one day they'd finally see you, appreciate you, and love you back. But that day never came, did it? Instead, the whole relationship became this exhausting cycle of being put on a pedestal and then torn down, where your worth was completely tied to how much you could give. But then, one day, something changes. It's not some loud announcement or dramatic exit. It's a quiet shift deep inside you. The constant storm of their emotions doesn't touch you anymore. That desperate need to be understood just vanishes. You become calm, still, even cold. And in that silence, their entire world starts to crumble. This isn't about revenge. It's about survival. It's the moment the empath, the one who always gives, finally turns that energy back toward themselves. For the first time, the narcissist is left completely and utterly alone with who they really are. What happens next is a frantic, desperate, and manipulative show that reveals the true nature of the person you thought you knew. The anatomy of the dynamic, the unseen contract. Before you turn cold, there's the fire. The empath-narcissist connection can look like a deep, passionate bond from the outside, but it's really more of a parasitic relationship. It's an unspoken deal where your main role is to prop up the other person's ego. As an empath, you're a natural source of compassion and understanding. You listen, you nurture, and you try to heal. To a narcissist, this isn't a gift, it's a resource. They're drawn to your light not to share its warmth, but to consume it. Narcissists operate from a place of deep-seated insecurity. Their identity is a fragile house of cards, a false self that needs constant external validation to keep from collapsing. This validation is what's known as narcissistic supply. It can be attention, compliments, drama, or even your fear. Your empathy provides the highest quality supply because it's pure and seems endless. You don't just listen to their manufactured dramas, you feel them. You don't just forgive them, you absorb their behavior and try to fix the pain you think is behind it. In their world, you aren't a person, you're a function. You are the mirror that shows them how grand they are and the emotional punching bag that keeps them stable. This whole dynamic is completely imbalanced. The more you give, the more drained you become, and they'll just chalk it up to you being too sensitive or too emotional. Meanwhile, the narcissist feels powerful and in control. They rely on your reactions, your tears, your anger, your pleading, as proof that they matter. For a long time, you might even accept this role, believing your sacrifice is just a part of love. You think if you just give a little more, you can fix them. But you can't fill a bucket that has no bottom. And that's when the awakening begins. The slow, painful realization that you're not in a relationship. You're playing a part, and the performance is killing you. The great shift. The empath's awakening. The change from a warm, flowing river of empathy to a sheet of ice is almost never a single event. It's a quiet revolution of the soul. It happens when the pain of staying is finally worse than the fear of what comes next. It's the moment your survival instinct finally screams louder than your instinct to rescue someone else. This isn't about becoming cruel or heartless. It's about becoming clear. That coldness people see isn't a lack of feeling. It's a lack of reaction. It's the stillness of a deep lake after a hurricane. You stop justifying, explaining, arguing, or begging. You finally get it. The narcissist doesn't want to understand you. They just want a reaction, and you simply refuse to give it to them anymore. You build a wall, not of anger, but of indifference. and this wall is a mirror. For years, the narcissist looked at you and saw a reflection of their own greatness, magnified by your love. Now, they look at you and see nothing, just a calm, flat surface reflecting their own emptiness right back at them. In a world they built on the noise of your emotions, your silence is a deafening roar. This shift is terrifying for them because it represents a total loss of control. Control is their drug, and you were their main dealer. You were the instrument they played to feel powerful. Now, the instrument is silent. The stage is empty. The audience has gone home. They are left alone under a single spotlight, forced to see the void inside themselves for the very first time. And that's where the panic really begins. Stage 1. Confusion and desperate probing. The narcissist's first reaction to your coldness usually isn't anger, it's confusion. They are creatures of habit. They have a script, a set of manipulative tools that have always worked before. When you suddenly stop playing your part, it's like their key no longer fits the lock. So, they'll start testing you, trying to get those familiar reactions. It might start subtly. They may try the old love-bombing tricks that won you over in the first place. You'll get texts saying, "I miss you," or "I was just thinking about that time we..." These aren't genuine sentiments. They're pings, sent out to see if the server is still online. When you respond with polite, detached, one-word answers, or even better, with total silence, their confusion grows. Next, they might try to manufacture a crisis or fake some vulnerability. You could get a message about a sudden hardship, a health scare, or a problem at work. This is a guilt bomb designed to pull at your empathic heartstrings. It looks like a plea for help, but it's a strategic move to see if they can still get to you emotionally. When these tests are met with your calm indifference, the narcissist becomes genuinely disoriented. It just doesn't compute. You were their emotional puppet, and now the strings are cut. They might ask things like, "Is everything okay?" Or, "You seem distant." They're not asking because they care. They're asking because you're off script, and it's making them deeply uncomfortable. Your stillness is the most unsettling thing in the world to them because it signals the one thing they can't stand: becoming irrelevant. Stage 2. Escalation, manipulation, and gaslighting. When their confused probing fails to get you back on script, the narcissist's panic really kicks in. Their attempts to regain control become more frantic and a lot more obvious. This is when they bring out the heavy artillery from their toxic toolbox. A common tactic is gaslighting, but with a new twist. Instead of just twisting reality, they now weaponize your change against you. You'll hear things like, "You've changed," said like it's an accusation, or "You're being so cold and cruel." They'll frame your healthy new boundary as a character flaw. The goal is to make you feel guilty for saving yourself. They want you to believe that your self-preservation is an attack on them. Then comes the blame and projection. Because narcissists often struggle with self-reflection, any bad feeling they have must be someone else's fault. Your withdrawal causes them a deep internal panic, so they project that pain directly onto you. They'll accuse you of hurting them, being selfish, or abandoning them. They'll paint themselves as the victim of your sudden, cruel behavior. You'll hear, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me?" This is a classic manipulative move, known as DARVO. Deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. Suddenly, in their story, you're the abuser, and they're the one who's been wronged. If that doesn't work, they may escalate to a smear campaign. They'll start telling friends and family a twisted version of the story where they are the poor victim and you are the unstable, vengeful monster. This does two things. It tries to isolate you, and it recruits people to be their flying monkeys, who then come to you and pressure you to just be reasonable, or give them another chance. The narcissist is trying to build a narrative that forces you back into your old role. Every one of these tactics is a desperate attempt to get a reaction. Your anger, your defense, your tears, anything works, as long as it proves you still care. Your continued unshakable calm is their kryptonite. Stage 3, narcissistic injury and unmasked rage. When all the manipulation fails, when the love bombing, guilt tripping, and gaslighting all bounce right off your wall of indifference, the narcissist is backed into a corner. They are now facing the ultimate threat to their sense of self, a narcissistic injury. A narcissistic injury is a deep blow to their fragile ego. It's when they are forced to confront the feeling of being rejected, ignored, or flawed. Your coldness is the ultimate injury because it doesn't just say their behavior is bad. It says they don't matter. To someone whose entire identity is built on being the center of the universe, this feels like a fate worse than death. And the reaction to this is often narcissistic rage. This isn't normal anger. It's a primal, terrifying, and often completely disproportionate explosion. The mask falls off. The charming or victimized person you knew disintegrates, and you're left facing the raw, wounded, and deeply insecure core underneath. This rage can show up in different ways. For an overt narcissist, it might be explosive yelling, threats, or aggressive outbursts. For a more covert narcissist, the rage can be passive-aggressive, a cold, seething fury, vindictive sabotage, or a calculated campaign to ruin your reputation. They might say things like, "You're going to regret this," which is both a prediction and a threat. They need to reestablish dominance through fear. At this stage, you're not even a person anymore. You are the enemy who must be punished. This is often the moment the empath sees the true darkness they were trying so hard to fix, and it solidifies their decision to stay away for good. The final stages: the discard, the hoover, and the obsession. After the rage burns out and they realize you're really gone, the narcissist enters the final stages. First comes the replacement rush. A narcissist cannot stand to be alone with their own emptiness. It's a void they have to fill, and fast. They will frantically seek out a new source of supply. Often, this is done in a very public way, specifically designed to make you jealous. They'll parade a new partner or a fabulous new life all over social media, creating an illusion of perfect happiness. This isn't about moving on. It's a performance for an audience of one, you. They are still trying to get a reaction to make you feel like you made a huge mistake. But no new supply will ever be quite like you, the one who saw their true self and then walked away. This often leads to the next stage, the hoover. Named after the vacuum cleaner, this is the narcissist's attempt to suck you back in. Weeks, months, or even years later, they'll often circle back. It could be a random text on your birthday, a pocket dial, or a message through a friend. They might even claim they've had an epiphany and finally understand what they did wrong. But this is just another manipulation. They haven't changed. They've just run out of fuel. For the empath who has turned cold, these hoovering attempts are transparent, almost sad. You no longer see a wounded soul to be saved. You see a predator looking for a meal. You recognize the pattern, and you don't engage. This final rejection can lead to the narcissist's most hidden stage, silent obsession. Publicly, they will act like they've moved on. Privately, they can remain consumed by you. You're the one who got away, the one who broke the spell. They might secretly stalk your social media from fake accounts or fish for information about you. They are haunted by your silence because it represents their ultimate failure, a loss of control they could never get back. The empath's peace, the calm after the storm. And what about you? While the narcissist is cycling through their panic, you're entering a new stage of your own. Peace. The silence that once felt so scary now feels like a sanctuary. All that energy you used to pour into managing their emotions is finally yours again. You start reinvesting it in yourself. You rediscover old hobbies, reconnect with friends, and most importantly, you start listening to your own needs. You learn to turn that powerful empathy inward, giving yourself the same compassion you once gave away so freely. This journey is about taking yourself back. You realize that your worth isn't based on how useful you are to someone else. You learn that setting a boundary isn't cruel. It's the highest form of self-respect. Your coldness was never about punishing them. It was about protecting you. You didn't destroy them. You simply stopped letting them destroy you. You might feel lonely at first, as you get used to a life without constant drama. But that loneliness is quickly replaced by a deep, peaceful solitude. You're no longer just a mirror for someone else's ego. You are a whole person. The narcissist's greatest fear was being made invisible. But in becoming invisible to them, you finally became visible to yourself. And in that clarity, you find a strength and a freedom you never knew was possible. Healing from this kind of dynamic is a journey, and you really don't have to walk it alone. If this story sounds familiar, I've linked some resources in the description below, including books, articles, and support communities for survivors of narcissistic abuse. They can offer guidance and solidarity as you reclaim your energy and your life. When an empath turns cold, it's not the origin story of a villain, it's the awakening of a hero. It's the moment you realize your first duty is not to heal others, but to protect your own soul. The narcissist's frantic, panicked reaction isn't a sign of their love for you, but of their addiction to what you gave them. Their world falls apart not because you were cruel, but because their world was built on the foundation of your self-abandonment. When you finally withdraw your energy, you're not taking something from them. You're taking yourself back. You're choosing peace over chaos, authenticity over performance, and self-love over self-sacrifice. The narcissist may see you as cold, but the truth is, you've finally learned that your warmth is a precious resource, one that should only be shared with those who will cherish it, not just consume it. And in that quiet, powerful stillness, you are finally, truly free.